What is up, Primes? Nathonis here, back with another video. Now, you might be asking, Nathonis, weren't you doing a cover of One More Light? Where's that? Yeah, two things came to mind. One, I can't sing. Like, I literally cannot. And two, you guys are going to be very verbal about that, so why risk it, huh? So, if you came to my channel for covers, hate to burst your bubble, not happening, at least not for a while yet. Let me get a few years of practice in and then we'll see. But, seeing as how it's almost July 20th, a very sad day for Linkin Park fans, I figure it would be appropriate to do a video based around that. Makes sense, I've been planning that for at least 2 years. So, as all of you know, unless you've been living under a rock, Chester Bennington, lead singer of Linkin Park, did in fact commit suicide on July 20th. Some people think that he was murdered. Some people think some pretty stupid shit, but it's unfortunate he actually committed suicide. That's the truth. There was no murder, there was no conspiracy. That's all BS. But that doesn't exactly make it better. Because, you know, he still died out of turn. He still died pretty young. He was only 41. And that's pretty young in my books, at least. And even for a 41-year-old, he looked like he was at least in his early 30s. So, he has that going for him. But, well, you might question why this video exists, and basic answer is I grew up with Linkin Park. I've loved them since, I don't know, I think since I was born, pretty much. It was one of the first bands I ever learned the name of, so... the first ever album that I truly loved at that point, though, was Minutes to Midnight, and that was because of, 3 songs. That was What I've Done, Transformers, obviously, come on, Shadow of the Day. Now that one was supposedly a single where it was on its own, but I'm pretty sure it was part of Minutes to Midnight. So, bit confusing, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And leave out all the rest. Those were the 3 songs that introduced me to Linkin Park. So, you know, as time went on, I kinda phased out of Linkin Park, went more to Imagine Dragons, and then to Queen, and, you know, now those are my 3 favorite bands. So, 2017, I hear that Chester passes away, and because I'm not the hugest, or rather, I'm not the fan that I once was of Linkin Park at this point, it hit me in less of a way than it would have if it were to happen now. If it were to happen now, I would break down, I would never leave the house. But because I was more with Imagine Dragons at the time, Chester's death was hard to explain. Like, it caught me off guard, it definitely surprised me, and I was definitely very, I would say, quite upset about it. But, you know, it wasn't until, I guess, late 2019 where things kind of picked back up again. And only not too long ago have I listened to every song they have ever put out. So, that's about approximately 120 songs. Can't remember how many albums, but I can list them all, So sorry if you just noticed a jump cut there, but some dumbass spider thought it was a good idea to spin a web between 2 of my Transformers. I hate spiders, I'm an arachnophobe. Anyway, so, yeah, Linkin Park was definitely a big part of my life, even though they were more in the background for most of it. I don't really know what to say. But the day that Chester passed was a very awkward day. I keep having this thought of, oh, I must have come home from school and, sat down and heard the news, but no, because it was July, it was summer, I wasn't in school. The way I found out was watching the Iridescent music video because, it's a Transformers music video technically. So, I was just watching that, and then I look through the comments and I see, the band's not going to be the same without Chester, Rip Chester. And I'm like, who the hell is Chester? Because at the point, I didn't know the name of anyone in the band. I just knew the band. I mean, when I was younger, I used to think Linkin Park was just one person, so what do I know? So yeah, I didn't know who Chester was, so I did some research. Chester, Linkin Park, and all I really found out was that he had died of suicide, and, well, obviously I didn't exactly know what to think at the time. I went home, that was at my grandmother's that I found that out. I went home later that day, saw it on the news. That was a bit disturbing, because, it all hit me in one day. All the news was just around me, and I didn't know what to do. What? Why? And the next day, my mother is like, do you know that the lead singer of your favorite band died? And I'm like, yeah, and I really wish I didn't know that. This was one of the worst bits of news I had ever received. It's not the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. I can list a lot more things that have happened that were worse, but it definitely hit hard. But essentially, the events that unfolded were Chris had passed away. Chris Cornell. If you don't know him, he's another musician, lead singer of Audioslave, if that narrows it down a bit. Well, he was best friends with Chester Bennington, and when he had passed away in March, wasn't it? March or May, Chester took it really hard. And that's fair, if your best friend commits suicide, that's going to hit you very hard. But, nobody knew exactly how hard it had hit him. And it was so bad that at one of their live performances, when they were performing One More Light, Chester couldn't finish the line in the song, and, towards the end of the song, you could hear him breaking, you could hear his voice breaking, and when I watched that, I almost broke. I was like, oh no, is this how hard it really hit him? And it was a tribute to Chris, so of course that was going to be emotional for him. But the day that it had happened, if you know what I mean, Chester and his family decided to go to a summer cabin type of thing, and, well, I guess it was kind of to ease the mind, because they knew Chester had been under some stress and stuff, but, he was pretty fine. In one video, you can see that he's perfect. He's acting like he's perfectly fine. He looks happy and relatively normal, and this is at that cabin.
Okay,
no.
and then
Burglar, what is this thing?
what do you guys have?
Just chocolate pudding or canned dog food. Let's hope for the best world. I just changed myself and I'm gonna die.
Same thing.
Okay, just a
Oh, double dog screw.
I either got rotten egg or something else.
Three,
guys,
2, 1, go.
Oh, my mouth. Oh, ow. Oh my god.
So, yeah, that just goes to show that depression won't always show itself. Sometimes it's lurking underneath, and the person with it can just, well, they can be as happy as they show, but deep down they're really hurting. So, think about that when you talk to your friends, you know, who knows what they're going through. But anyway, so, while they were all, you know, at the cabin, and they were having a pretty good time, Chester had to go promote the album, you know, and so he did. I'm pretty sure you'll actually see some interviews around that point in time. But, yep, he said goodbye to his wife and his kids. And that was the last goodbye they ever got from him. That was the last thing they ever heard from him. While they were at the cabin, he had gone to their home in Palos Verdes Estates, and, well, pretty sure you can guess what happened there. And as soon as they got the call, they raced right back, and they just couldn't believe it. They moved out of that house, they sold his car, you know. I'm pretty sure one of his children even said, we shouldn't have gone to that cabin, Daddy would still be alive. And when I heard about that, that just... damn, that really fucking hurt. Technically, yeah, it's true in a way, but you can't blame yourself for somebody else's death. It just doesn't work like that. So, when Mike got the call, he was at a photo shoot, and he just couldn't believe it. Like, there was nothing that he could do, right? He knew that his best friend was dead, and he was just out here doing his own thing. But he saw Chester just the other day. He was fine, you know? He was acting completely normal, and now all of a sudden he's dead. Like, and for a month or so, Mike wouldn't leave his house. I'm pretty sure most of the band couldn't either. I never heard their stories. They didn't really tell their stories, did they? Yeah. So, they didn't exactly know what to do. And that's proven in the song Over Again that Mike Shinoda made in, I think it was 2018. And yeah, like it makes sense too, because like he had passed away. What were they to do? And everybody's like, oh, they didn't do enough to help him, and like, what were they supposed to do exactly? So, and as a quick side note, if you live in the LA area and you want to try and find Chester's grave, I hate to say it, but Chester doesn't actually have a grave. He was cremated, so, you know, the closest thing to a grave that he has is an urn that I'm pretty sure Talinda has. So, just as a kind of backstory about Chester, he was born in Phoenix, Arizona, which, from what I hear, is a very warm place and very bad for coronavirus cases. And between the ages of 7 and 13, he faced, we'll just call it sexual abuse from an older male friend. Now, that must be really scarring. 7. He was 7. And it lasted for, what, 6 years? That's a bit far, isn't it? And obviously he didn't want to tell anybody because, you know, he was too afraid that something bad might happen to him, like he'd be bullied, or, you know, people would think he's a liar, you know. And that's understandable, but he should have told somebody. So if you go through something like that, yeah, you tell somebody, because if you don't, you're gonna be essentially stuck in hell for the rest of your life. So you may have noticed a few jump cuts here and there. It's mostly because I'm not exactly sure where to take a video like this, because like, I have the basic idea, I know what I'm gonna talk about, but there really isn't a whole lot to talk about, and the way to bridge it in between can sometimes be a bit awkward. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and see you all in the next video.
And this girl took her hand, 4 fingers, stuck them into my mouth. All 4, deep into my mouth. I was like, 1, I'm singing on television. 2, I'm singing. 3, I have a f***ing microphone in my hand and I'm singing on television. What are you doing? And then later on, she flashed me and she had hairy wolf nipples. And this is true. For real. They had teeth and eyes. They were like were titties. It was horrifying.